Hi guys, my name is Amy and I'm one of the keepers that's lucky enough to work with our giraffe herd. And we have a really special surprise for you guys today. We're going to show you some of the training that we're doing with our two youngest herd members. So as you guys know, we have Panya, who came to us from the Memphis Zoo. And Panya, as you can see right now, is getting trained by her primary trainer, Kayla. And Kayla's been working really hard on getting her used to doing foot care. So we're just in the very beginning stages of getting Panya to put her foot up on the block. So you guys get to see one of the very first sessions that we're ever doing with Panya. Panya has come up to the fire hose with Kayla before, and the fire hose is just a little barrier that we use to keep them separate from us. So we can be in one side of the stall and they can be in another side of the stall. And Panya has gotten really good at targeting. And targeting is just meaning that she puts her nose on that tennis ball whenever we ask her to. So you can see she's a little bit nervous right now. Giraffes can tell you that they're nervous. They'll get a little bit of a nostril flare or a little bit of their ears coming really far forward. And that's okay with Panya. Panya is still just learning how to do all this stuff. So we go really slow with Panya. We go right at her pace. So whenever she tells us that she's nervous, we just kind of hang out and wait for her to gain a little bit more confidence in moving forward. So that click sound that you're hearing is Kayla telling Panya that she did a really good job. So the click means that treats are going to come, and she's getting crackers, which are Panya's most favorite treat. There she comes. She's just looking down the hallway a little bit. So if she ever backs up, that's just fine. Panya gets the choice on whether or not she wants to participate in our training. And anytime she wants to leave, that's just fine. So that's one way to help make our giraffes nice and comfortable. They learn that if they don't want to be in the stall, if they don't want to be participating, they don't have to. They can leave anytime that they want, which is pretty cool. And that usually ends up with them coming right back and working with us, which is pretty cool. So she's going to take some steps forward, which is really awesome. This is probably the first or second time that she's ever seen that foot block. So she's looking at the foot block, and then she's looking at us over here, who are in the back of the stall. She's not used to visitors, so we haven't had a whole lot of people in the stall recently, just because we haven't had a whole lot of guests. So she's getting used to seeing more and more people and still doing her training. But this training is really important. Giraffes' hooves grow just like our fingernails grow. So we need to be able to keep them nice and trimmed up, just like you guys keep your fingernails nice and trimmed up. If they get too long, it can kind of get in the way of their walking and change their gait a little bit. And we want to make sure that Panya stays nice and healthy. And one of the ways that we can do that is by asking her to participate in her own health care. So she's doing a really great job today of just taking a look around and seeing what her environment looks like, and getting used to all the new stimulus. So the fire hose is new for her, the hoof block is new for her, people are new for her, but she's doing a really great job, and Kayla's been working with her over the last few months since she got here to be this comfortable with us. So when she first got here, she was a little bit nervous to take crackers from us, but then when she figured out that she get lots of treats for working with her trainers, she started to just change and blossom into a totally different giraffe. She's one of our most confident giraffe right now, so sometimes when we ask the giraffes to shift, Panya is the first one in line, and she'll kind of push the other giraffes out of the way. So she's definitely earned her place in the herd, and she gets along with everyone now. She's going outside with everybody now, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to see, if you guys watch, Kayla's looking for her to get closer to that foot block. And every time she gets closer, she'll hear that sound, and that sound means good job. And so when she takes steps closer to it, she'll get treats. Sometimes Kayla asks her to back up just a little bit too, and she'll get treats for doing that as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and let Panya out. We like to keep those sessions nice and short, just so that they stay really comfortable the whole time. And again, anytime Panya wants to leave, Panya gets to leave. So if Panya goes to the door and asks to be let out, we just let her out. So hopefully that increases the chance that she'll come back and be really comfortable with us.
Hi guys, my name is Kayla. I was just training Panya, and now what you're going to see is Miss Amy Shills training our youngest giraffe, Viv, over here. So she's almost a year old, and she is just learning how to put her foot on the block as well. So what you will see is when Viv approaches the block, Amy is going to do what we call the dance. So we want them to square up with us in order for her to most effectively put her foot on the block. So what Amy is going to do is she's going to take a few steps back as Viv approaches her if she's comfortable with it. So as you can see, Viv's kind of looking around, and Amy's just going to wait and go at Viv's pace. So as long as Viv is comfortable, she will keep going. But once Viv puts her foot on the block, the end stage for this training that we do for all of our giraffe is to eventually see the bottom of their foot and knife out the bottom of their feet so we can take the best care of their hooves as possible. So because they bear about 70% of their weight on their front end, we want to make sure that we can get a great view of their foot. So we like to start training them when they're as little as 3 to 6 months. So Viv can totally say no if she wants to, since she's still in the beginning stages, just like Panya, of learning hoof work. So that's totally okay with us. So if she doesn't want to put her hoof on the block today, she doesn't have to. But the end goal will hopefully be for both of them to put both of their front feet on the block so that we can see underneath it and be able to actually trim their feet. But we would never want to force them to participate with us, because then their training would break down. Our relationship wouldn't be great with them. So we want to make sure that they trust us, they trust what we're going to do with them. So if that's a session that's them walking away, that's totally fine with us. But as you can see, even though she did walk away just like Panya, she readily came back to take crackers from Amy, which is awesome. But it's totally their choice if they want to participate or not. And hopefully, if she does come back in, you guys will get to see more of the dance that I was talking about. Okay, so Viv now is approaching the block, which is excellent. So once she ends up putting her foot on the block, as I explained, that's kind of the next step after she squares up with Amy. What we would normally do is add a person in and then get her comfortable with someone by her feet. So as you can imagine, it takes them a little bit of time getting used to people in the same stall as them to begin with. So the next step would be getting people even closer to her. So kind of in her space, a little bit closer to her feet. And then once she's comfortable with us kneeling down that close to her, we would work on touching her foot. So once she is fluently putting her foot up on the block, back down on the floor, and then backing up, we would next want to make sure she's comfortable with us touching her, because you can't trim a hoof until you're touching them, right? So for Viv, that will be probably one of our most fun challenges with her. So she does not like being touched. Some of the other giraffe have that aversion as well. They're not like our pets at home, like our dogs and our cats. They don't naturally like being pet. So that's totally understandable why she wouldn't want to naturally just be touched, especially by the feet. They are prey animals to begin with. So what we would do is probably start a little bit higher up. So in the past, when we've had giraffe that have not always accepted touching at first, we will start more on their shoulder or their neck. So as you can imagine, when people come to the zoo and feed our giraffe, they like to love on them up higher, on their face, on their neck, stuff like that. So if we start up higher, she'll be more comfortable with that. And then we'd work down her leg until we get all the way to her joint, which is right above her foot. That's called the fetlock. So the fetlock is important because we want them to bend at that joint, and then that way we can see the bottom of their feet. So once we get her comfortable touching her all the way up and down her leg, this is really great. You guys can see her putting her foot up on the block and then taking it back, which is exactly what we want. And she's even bending a little bit at her fetlock too. So once we start touching them, we would want them to curl at that joint. So she's already learning that, which is really great. She's a very fast learner. Viv is wonderful in that way. And so we would want then to move her foot and then to curl it. And we would use a pool noodle, actually, believe it or not, is what we use to support that fetlock joint, because we wouldn't want it to be stretched too far, but we'd still want to be able to see enough of the bottom of her feet so that we can actually trim, brush out any rocks that we see. And then after that, once she is completely comfortable getting her foot manipulated and brushed out by us, we would then start to add more people into the stall, because our end goal would be to have our farrier Steve come in and really work her feet. So he's the expert for trimming feet. Steve, our farrier, is fantastic. So we all have some general knowledge of how to trim feet, but he is the true expert, and he will come in once a month and trim all of our giraffes' feet So we're hoping that Panya and Viv will then also participate in our hoof care program, which has been going on for quite some time at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. So these two are the newest members to our hoof care program, and thank you so much for coming to watch some of the hoof training we're doing with our two new individuals. Once again, my name's Kayla, and thank you for watching Abnormally Normal. See you guys next time.